In the early 2000s, an unusual animated series appeared on Cartoon Network, which, at first glance, seemed like just another story about children fighting evil adults. However, Codename Kids Next Door, or simply KND, upon closer examination, turns out to be a deep social commentary on power, childhood, and growing up, hidden behind the mask of a children's cartoon. Created by Tom Warburton, this series ran for 6 seasons from 2002 to 2008, becoming one of the network's defining shows of that era. KND is a global underground organization of children created to protect children's rights from the tyranny of adults. The headquarters is located on the moon, while local bases are situated in children's treehouses. These treehouses aren't simple wooden platforms. They're sophisticated technological marvels disguised as ordinary play spaces, featuring advanced computer systems, weapons arsenals, and even spacecraft launch pads. KND agents use weapons created from everyday objects, water guns, slingshots, chewing gum, and other elements of a child's arsenal. This 2x4 technology, pronounced 2x4, represents the ingenious repurposing of mundane items, symbolizing how children's imagination can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. The main characters are Sector Fief, 5 operatives with code numbers from 1 to 5. Number 1, Nigel Uno, a bald boy with sunglasses, a serious and mission-dedicated leader of the group. His baldness, explained as the result of an incident with the delightful children from down the lane, makes him stand out visually and metaphorically. He's literally lost something that most children have, suggesting his premature adulthood. Number 2, Hoagie Gilligan, a heavy-set boy inventor who creates technology for the team. His engineering genius represents children's natural creativity when unfettered by adult limitations. Number 3, Kuki Sanban, a cheerful Japanese girl obsessed with rainbow monkeys. Her seemingly naive enthusiasm masks surprising emotional depth and occasional ferocity, embodying the complexity of childhood emotions. Number 4, Wally Beetles, a short but strong Australian with an aggressive character and a secret crush on Number 3, representing the awkward navigation of preteen emotions. Number 5, Abigail Lincoln, a cool-headed and collected African-American girl who acts as the deputy leader. Her backstory, involving her older sister's betrayal of the KND, adds layers to her cautious but confident personality. Beyond Sector 5, the KND universe expands to include numerous other sectors worldwide, creating a diverse tapestry of child agents. The Global Command, headed by Supreme Leader Number 3, 6-2, Rachel McKenzie, oversees the entire operation from the moon base, while specialized units like the Deep Sea Science Lab and Arctic Base handle specific functions. This extensive organizational structure mimics adult institutions while maintaining distinctly childlike elements. All this seems like a cute children's fantasy, but is it really so? If you look at the animated series through the lens of conspiracy theory, KND begins to resemble a training program for future special service operatives. Judge for yourself. Children undergo rigorous training, study martial arts, the basics of espionage, cryptography, and tactics. The Cadets Next Door program at the Arctic Base puts young recruits through grueling trials before they can become full agents. These training sequences, with their obstacle courses, survival challenges, and combat exercises, bear unsettling similarities to actual military training programs. The organizational structure of KND suspiciously resembles real special services. There is global command, sectors, specialized departments. The Kids Next Door. Splinter Cell, a secretive group within the organization, operates with even greater secrecy than the main KND, creating wheels within wheels of conspiracy. There is a strict hierarchy, a security system with different access levels, and even its own internal counterintelligence, the kids next door. Arctic Base, operatives identify traitors and spies. The show introduces specialized divisions like the Decommissioning Squad, led by Number 86, Fanny Fulbright, whose sole purpose is to track down and process aging operatives, a chilling parallel to real-world intelligence agency cleanup operations. What looks particularly sinister in this context is the decommissioning procedure, which erases all memories of the organization when an agent turns 13. This resembles mind control techniques, which, according to some theories, the CIA developed as part of the MK Ultra project. The decommissioning chambers, with their imposing machinery and clinical atmosphere, evoke images of experimental psychiatric treatments. The emotional trauma associated with decommissioning, the fear, the resistance, the occasional escapees who become rogue teens, mirrors accounts of subjects in actual mind control experiments. If you dig deeper, you can notice that the creators of the animated series filled it with references to real special operations from the Cold War era. Mission names in the format Operation Acronym Parody, the real code names of secret operations by American intelligence agencies. For example, Operation Caked bears similarities to actual military operation naming conventions, while the multi-year, multi-phase nature of this recurring mission structure mirrors long-term intelligence operations. The KND's extensive file-keeping and surveillance systems, maintained by their intelligence division, parallel real-world intelligence gathering networks. The existence of undercover agents who maintain their memories past decommissioning to infiltrate teen organizations suggests protocols for deep cover operatives. Characters like Maurice, formerly Number 9, and Chad Dixon, formerly Number 274, exemplify this concept, serving as double agents in teenage society, precisely the kind of long-game strategy employed by intelligence agencies developing future assets. On the other hand, K&D can be viewed as an idealized children's utopia, a world where children have created a perfect society by their own rules. They fight against those who embody the injustice of the adult world, forcing them to eat vegetables, go to bed on time, do homework, visit the dentist. The villains are often caricatures of adult authority figures. Mr. Boss represents corporate greed and workplace tyranny. Grandma Stuff'em forces children to eat disgusting food. The delightful children from down the lane embody the perfect, robotically obedient children that adults supposedly want. In this interpretation, K&D is nothing but a metaphor for a child's fantasy about a world where the rules are set by children themselves, where you can eat sweets without restrictions, not go to school, not take baths, and play as much as you want. Operations to liberate an ice cream factory or to extend summer vacation by sabotaging the school system represent childish wishes elevated to heroic missions. The animated series essentially visualizes children's dreams of freedom and independence, where the greatest crimes are bedtime enforcement and broccoli consumption. The KND organization in such a reading is the embodiment of democratic ideals. Children of different nationalities, with different talents and characters, unite for a common goal. The diverse composition of Sector Foe, British American, Italian American, Japanese American, Australian, and African American reflects an idealized multicultural society where differences are strengths. They make decisions collectively, respect the individuality of each person, and build a society of equal opportunities. The global nature of KND, with sectors in every country working in harmony despite cultural differences, presents an optimistic vision of international cooperation that real-world organizations often fail to achieve. The one kid, one vote system for electing the supreme leader shows a functioning democracy, while the ability of operatives to challenge decisions through proper channels demonstrates healthy institutional accountability. Even the specialized roles within teams reflect natural aptitudes rather than forced assignments, a meritocracy based on individual talents. When leadership fails, as in the story arc where Chad Dixon, number 274, appears to betray the KND, the system has checks and balances to remove corrupt leaders, a utopian political system that works as intended. The third view of the series appears the most interesting, as a social commentary on the relationship between children and adults in modern society. The creator of the series, Tom Warburton, did not hide that he was inspired by his own childhood and the feeling that adults often do not understand children and their needs. The show frequently portrays the generational gap not as a simple case of good versus evil, but as a fundamental disconnect in perspectives and priorities. KND, in this reading, is a metaphor for children's protest against a world that is built by adults for adults, where children's interests are often ignored. The theme of misunderstanding between generations runs throughout the series. Episodes exploring the backstories of villains reveal that many began as children with valid grievances that twisted over time. The Toiletnator, a laughable villain obsessed with bathroom cleanliness, represents adults' fixation on rules that seem arbitrary to children. The Common Cold embodies the parental obsession with health that restricts fun activities. It is noteworthy that many villains in the cartoon are simply adults who have forgotten what it's like to be a child. This amnesia is literalized in the KND universe. Decommissioned operatives forget their time in the organization and thus lose touch with their childhood selves. This creates a cycle where former champions of childhood become its oppressors, suggesting that the adult-child conflict is not innate but constructed through societal pressures and memory loss. Particularly interesting is the figure of father, the main antagonist of the series. He is presented as a dark silhouette with flaming eyes, the embodiment of parental tyranny. His goal is to make children good, that is, obedient, quiet, and disciplined. In essence, father embodies an authoritarian model of upbringing, where a child's individuality is suppressed in the name of conforming to adult standards. His relationship with the delightful children from down the lane, 5 children who speak in unison and behave with uncanny perfection, represents the horror of children stripped of individuality and spontaneity. The revelation that these children were once legendary KND operatives, transformed by father's delightfulization machine, makes this metaphor even more pointed. It is symbolic that in the finale of the series, we learn that father himself was a child who rebelled against his own father, but then became the same tyrant. This loops the idea of how adults, forgetting about their own childhood, repeat the mistakes of previous generations. Father's own father, grandfather, represents an even older generation of authoritarian parenting, suggesting that these patterns of control are deeply rooted in history. When grandfather is temporarily reactivated in Operation ZDRO, his plan to turn the world's population into senior citizombies can be read as commentary on how outdated values can threaten to consume the present. The show also explores class and privilege through characters like the delightful children who live in a mansion and have access to resources that the sector members living in a middle-class neighborhood do not. The contrasting backgrounds of characters like Number 5, whose father is a doctor, and Number 4, whose family struggles financially, introduce economic realities into this children's utopia. Episodes dealing with expensive rainbow monkey merchandise or premium school supplies subtly comment on consumerism and its impact on childhood. One of the darkest aspects of the animated series is the inevitability of decommissioning. Every K&D agent knows that the day will come when they turn 13, and all memories of adventures will be erased. This can be interpreted as a metaphor for growing up and losing childlike innocence. The show doesn't shy away from the emotional weight of this transition. Episodes featuring operatives approaching their 13th birthdays are often tinged with melancholy and existential dread. Growing up in the context of the animated series is presented as a tragic event. The child loses not only their role in the organization, but also the very memory of what it's like to be part of a children's brotherhood. This reflects the real fear of children facing adulthood and the loss of childish joys and carefree attitudes. The ceremonial aspects of decommissioning, the solemn procession, the formal recognition of service, the witnesses, mirror real-world rites of passage, suggesting that modern society lacks meaningful rituals to help children process the transition to adolescence. The show explores different responses to this inevitable fate. Some characters, like Numbu 274, Chad, initially appear to betray the organization in fear and self-preservation. Others, like Numbu 9, Maurice, accept their fate with dignity, only to be secretly selected to continue serving as undercover teenage operatives. These varied responses mirror the different ways children approach growing up, with resistance, acceptance, or adaptation. It is noteworthy that some characters find a way to bypass decommissioning and become double agents among teenagers. This can be viewed as a commentary on those adults who maintain their inner child and do not lose connection with the childish parts of their personality. The Teens Next Door, former operatives who remember their K&D days and work as double agents against teen ninjas and other adolescent threats, represent the possibility of growing up without growing apart from one's childhood values. The series finale, Operation INTERVIEWS, takes this theme to its logical conclusion. Set decades in the future, it shows the now adult Sector 5 members, except for Number 1, who left Earth to join the galactic K&D, being interviewed about their childhood adventures. Despite being decommissioned, fragments of their memories remain, suggesting that while childhood experiences may fade, they're never truly erased. This bittersweet conclusion offers hope that the core of who we are as children remains within us, even as adults. So, what is Kids Next Door? CIA psychological training or children's utopia? Probably neither, and simultaneously both. The animated series exists in the space between children's fantasy and adult reality, playing with both worlds. It uses the trappings of spy fiction and military organization to explore the universal experience of childhood rebellion against adult authority. On the one hand, it is indeed a utopian fantasy about a world where children have power and autonomy. On the other hand, it's an insightful commentary on real social structures, power relations, and control in society. The fact that the children's organization so resembles adult structures like military or intelligence agencies ironically shows how children, rebelling against adults, unwittingly copy their organizational models. This mirrors how real-world revolutionary movements often recreate aspects of the systems they sought to replace. Kids Next Door is a fascinating exploration of a child's view of the world, their fantasies about power and freedom, fears and hopes. The animated series allows adults to remember what it's like to be a child, and children to see their dreams and fears embodied in the adventures of 5 unusual heroes. Its use of exaggeration and fantasy, moon bases, hamster-powered technology, Villains made of living splinters creates a safe space to explore very real anxieties about authority, identity, and growing up. Perhaps the real value of this animated series is not in conspiracy theories or utopian fantasies, but in the fact that it reminds us the line between the worlds of children and adults is thinner than it seems, and the most serious adults were once children who dreamed of treehouses and secret missions. In showing both the joy of childhood and the inevitability of growing up, K&D captures the bittersweet nature of human development better than many ostensibly more serious works. In its mixture of absurdist humor, spy thriller conventions, and genuine emotional depth, Codename Kids Next Door created something rare, an animated series that can be enjoyed on multiple levels, from simple adventure to sophisticated social commentary. It validates children's feelings of opposition to adult rules while acknowledging the complexity of growing up and the necessity of some form of social order. This nuanced approach, hidden behind outlandish scenarios and 2x4 technology, is perhaps why the show continues to resonate with viewers long after its original run ended.